Now it was the custom at the festival to release a prisoner whom the people requested. A man called Barabbas was in prison with the rebels who had committed murder in the uprising. The crowd came up and asked Pilate to do for them what he usually did. "Do you want me to release to you the King of the Jews?" asked Pilate, knowing it was out of self-interest that the chief priests had handed Jesus over to him. But the chief priests stirred up the crowd to get Pilate to release Barabbas instead. "What shall I do then with the one you call the King of the Jews?" Pilate asked them. "Crucify him," they shouted. "Why? What crime has he committed?" asked Pilate. But they shouted all the louder, "Crucify him." Wanting to satisfy the crowd, Pilate released Barabbas to them. He had Jesus flogged and handed him over to be crucified.
Mark chapter 15, verses 6 to 15. I'm standing outside of Ford Prison. It's been a prison here since 1960, catering for about 550 or so inmates. Before that, it was a RAF Ford base, and it also has been used by the Fleet Air Arm as a Royal Naval air base. Well, it's now a Category D prison, and just behind me is the chapel. In fact, you can just see the cross on the top of the windows. The last time I was in here, just over a year ago, just before lockdown, I spoke at the evening service in the chapel. You know, I don't mind going in here. It's just that with a name like Crook, I'm just a bit concerned they won't let me out again. In our passage today, we find there is a prisoner. His name is Barabbas. He is a murderer. He's led an insurrection, some sort of revolt against the Romans. He's been found guilty and he's been sentenced to death for high treason. He's exactly the sort of person that they think Jesus is. This man Barabbas is clearly guilty. In fact, there was probably a cross with his name on it. Jesus is innocent. He hasn't done anything wrong at all. So Barabbas ought to face his penalty for his crime that he's clearly guilty of. Jesus doesn't deserve to die. But what's the outcome? Apparently there was a tradition, and the crowd for Passover could ask for the release of a prisoner. Pilate gives them the opportunity to release Jesus, but no, they want Barabbas released. Even though he's clearly guilty, even though he's murdered somebody, he's led an insurrection, and yet he gets to go free. And what about Jesus? He ends up on the cross that was probably earmarked for Barabbas. Jesus gets to be punished, whilst Barabbas gets to go free. Apparently, the name Barabbas means son of the Father. He almost symbolically stands for any of us for whom we get to go free because Jesus has taken our punishment for us. You see, the truth is that all of us have not loved God with all of our heart, soul, strength and mind. We've not allowed Jesus to have his rightful rule and reign over our lives. And spiritually, we're all guilty. That is high treason to behave against God in such an appalling way, to be a rebel, to lead a revolt against the King of Kings. So spiritually speaking, we all deserve death, separation from God. The amazing good news is that Jesus has taken the rap for us. Somebody has to pay the penalty. Rather than it being you or I, Jesus was prepared to die in our place so that we can go free. It's absolutely amazing. We don't know what happened of Barabbas. I wonder whether he ever found out who it was that had been crucified so that he could then go free. I wonder if spiritually he ever put his trust in Jesus. It was all very well having a few more years to be able to return back to his earthly family and friends and his home. What's so much more important is for us to be able to return to our heavenly home, our spiritual family, our spiritual friends, and to have a place with God in heaven forever. Not because of what we've done, but all because Jesus has paid in full the debt that we owe. So prisoners can be set free. Father, thank you so much that Jesus went to the cross and took the punishment that had my name on it, so I can be free to be with you forever in the spiritual home of heaven and the new creation. Amen.